What happens when two of the most powerful forces in the Middle East clash with firepower that shakes the earth? In 2025, missiles flew, cities burned, and the world held its breath. This is not just a conflict, this is a warning to the planet. In April 2025, history took a dark turn. Iran and Israel, two longtime regional rivals, went beyond words and launched missiles, hundreds of them. The world watched in disbelief as the skies over the Gulf, Tel Aviv, Tehran, and even Baghdad lit up with fire. This is the full story of the most intense missile exchange in recent history. What led to it, who was hit hardest, and what it means for the future of the Middle East. The buildup to conflict. It began with tension. Israel's repeated airstrikes on Syrian targets linked to Iran-backed militias. Then came a major escalation. A U.S. B-2 stealth bomber mission in the Gulf and coordinated Israeli air raids on Iranian assets in Syria. Iran called it a declaration of war. Tehran warned, but few listened. Then, the retaliation came. The missile attacks. In response, Iran launched over 550 ballistic missiles and more than 1,000 drones at Israeli targets. In the largest missile attack in Middle East history. Israel's Iron Dome intercepted most, but at least 50 missiles landed, hitting Tel Aviv, Beersheba, and even parts of Haifa. Hospitals, power stations, and apartment blocks were damaged. Casualties in Israel: 29 killed, over 1,300 injured. But Israel wasn't staying silent. Israel strikes back. Within hours, Israeli jets, supported by the U.S., launched over 145 coordinated airstrikes deep inside Iran. Targets included missile silos, air defense systems, and suspected nuclear sites. At least 120 buildings in Tehran and Isfahan were destroyed. Casualties in Iran: over 970 killed, more than 4,700 injured. Iran's cities were shaken. But the strikes didn't stop there. Drone warfare and cyber strikes. As missiles flew, cyber armies awoke. Israeli banks and transport systems were hit by Iranian cyber attacks. Iran's energy grids in Yazd and Khuzestan were disrupted by Israeli malware. Fake news campaigns spread chaos across social media. Behind the front lines, a new war unfolded. Digital, silent, devastating. Global impact and oil crisis. Oil prices spiked overnight. Global markets trembled. Gulf air traffic was shut down. Embassies issued evacuation orders. Russia and China called for de-escalation. The U.S. maintained support for Israel. The UN held emergency meetings, but failed to reach consensus. The Middle East was on the edge of regional war. Economic aftershocks and diplomatic fallout. Iran's currency fell by 40% in a week. Israel's stock market halted twice due to missile alerts. Western firms began evacuating staff from oil platforms and embassies in the Gulf. Peace treaties with Gulf states were questioned, strained, and in some cases, frozen. The region was shifting. Fast. Ceasefire declared. After 12 days of missile exchange, secret diplomacy began. Through Qatari and Turkish channels, a fragile ceasefire was reached, but not before. Thousands dead, cities scarred, billions in damages. Both sides claimed victory, but neither came out unscathed. Aftermath, damage and destruction. Iran-Israel missiles fired. 591 missiles and 1,000-plus drones. 145 airstrikes with U.S. Killed 627 to 974. 21 injured. 4,700, 1,300 infrastructure. 120-plus buildings destroyed. 50-plus sites damaged. Cost estimate $9 billion, $3 billion plus. This was war without boots on the ground, but the destruction was no less real. The Iran and Israel USA involved in this war. The spark of war. It all started when Israel carried out a targeted airstrike on an Iranian nuclear convoy near Natanz. Within hours, Iran launched over 300 missiles at Israeli cities and military sites. Israel responded with Iron Dome intercepts and its own long-range attacks. What many didn't expect was Iran's next move: retaliation against U.S. forces in the region. Al Udeid base attacked. On July 14th, at exactly 3:12 a.m., over 24 missiles rained down on Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, the largest U.S. base in the Middle East. Iran claimed the strike was in response to American support and logistics given to Israel. Damage: 3 aircraft hangars destroyed, 2 Reaper drones lost, fuel depots exploded, 14 American personnel injured. Al Udeid was paralyzed for 48 hours. For the first time in years, the U.S. military looked vulnerable. Regional chaos. The strike sent shockwaves through the Gulf. In fear of further attacks, Qatar, UAE, and Kuwait temporarily suspended U.S. military access to their airspace and bases. America's logistical chain in the Middle East broke overnight. Supplies stalled, air patrols grounded, and the image of American dominance started to crack. China and Russia quickly amplified the chaos, launching diplomatic campaigns accusing the U.S. of escalating the war. Washington was losing both power and perception. What military lessons were learned? Speed matters more than size. Drones and precision missiles dominate modern warfare. Air defense is critical, but not foolproof. Cyber defense must evolve with frontline strategy. Civilian infrastructure is more vulnerable than ever. Missiles can shift diplomacy faster than diplomacy can prevent missiles. Both nations will rethink their arsenals after this war. Regional aftershocks. Hezbollah declared readiness to support Iran if red lines are crossed. Saudi Arabia ramped up anti-missile drills across its northern bases. Turkey increased drone patrols near the Iraq-Iran border. The Gulf Cooperation Council met an emergency session. Unity weakened. This wasn't just an Iran-Israel war. It threatened to become everyone's war. This conflict taught the world something. You don't need tanks and troops to destroy cities. In a matter of hours, drones and missiles can paralyze nations. The 2025 Iran-Israel missile war changed the balance of power in the region. It showed how fragile peace really is. And while a ceasefire may hold for now, one wrong move, one wrong missile, and the war could return, bigger and deadlier. Historical parallels. 1991. Gulf War, the first televised missile strikes. 2006. Hezbollah-Israel war, rockets in civilian zones. 2020s. Ukraine conflict, drones changing war. 2025. Iran-Israel, the next evolution. Each conflict advanced weapons. Each war redrew maps. This one rewrote the future. Stay alert, stay informed, and remember, in modern warfare, silence doesn't always mean peace. If this war taught us anything, it's that the next one may not wait. Share this documentary, start the conversation, and never underestimate the power of diplomacy or the cost of its failure. Subscribe for more global conflict breakdowns. This is not just history. This is happening now.